Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab AFL. This Thursday preview, round 19. We've got a big game, Chief, tomorrow night, Essendon and the Doggies. So Essendon, I'm giving a mulligan at GMH last week. So the Doggies, though, disappointing 2-point loss. That hurt their finals aspirations, but Marvel Stadium, different kettle of fish. 8 of 9, Essendon have won at Marvel Stadium. But where do you see this game winning or losing?
It's a tough encounter, isn't it? Both teams stumbled last week when they're looking to consolidate their spot in the finals. They'll both be happy they're playing at Marvel. They like it. They do have a good record, the Bombers, as you say. Hopefully we're going to get an entertaining contest. It should be some quick ball movement, hopefully some high scoring. I'm a bit like you. Even though they're not the favourites, I'm going to lean the Bombers' way. Maybe a little bit too much run for the Dogs.
Well, interesting, because the clearance game of the Doggies, last 4 weeks, they've been number one in the comp. So they're getting their hands on the ball out of exits, but yet not really hitting the scoreboard as much as they should. So do you see that more of an advantage in terms of Essendon's style? So they mix it up a little bit more. Can they cope with that, the Dogs?
Yeah, maybe able to get them on the outside, the Bombers. I mean, if you look at the true form line for the Bulldogs, they've had some tough games. But when you've only beaten Freo and North in the last 7 weeks, Dicko, it's not a lot to hang your hat on, is it?
No, it's not. So I'm going to go Essendon as well in that one. So we agree. Richmond Hawks, our beloved Hawks. I think the Tigers, plenty to play for, the firepower and what they did in Perth last week. So McConnell's going, got them going well. So not really a game we should spend a lot of time on. So you're pretty comfortable with Richmond in this one?
Yeah, just a bit more going for them. As you say, McConnell coaching for his future as the senior coach at Richmond. Tigers still in the hunt for the finals. Hawks showing some good signs, but might just come up a little bit short here.
And British Open this week, so we've got a golf theme with the next one. So Carlton and West Coast. Now the line's 65, so I'm happy for the closest to the pin here. I'm anticipating an 80-point win. We know where West Coast are at, and we know that Carlton are flying 4 in a row. What's the nearest to pin for you? Well,
they are flying, Carlton. Massive win over Port last week, and they're just about ready to take things a little bit easy this week, and I'm going for a 62-point line. Dicko?
Okay, right. Now, Brisbane and Geelong. This is an interesting game. I reckon the Cats are heating up. So, but they're back in the den. So the Lions' den up there at the Gabba. So which way you're firstly going in this one?
It's impossible to tip against Brisbane at the Gabba because you just don't do that. But I'm like you. I'm very worried about this. Geelong have got a really, really good record against the Lions. They've won something like 14 of the last 17 against Brisbane. So there'll be no fears for the Cats travelling. It's just, if you sat there at the end of the day and Brisbane won and you tipped Geelong, you'd say, what was I thinking tipping against the Lions at the Gabba? So on that logic, I have to go for the Lions, but it is a massive game.
Yeah, what I saw last week in terms of their start, Geelong, I'm going to tip Geelong in this one to cause an upset at the Gabba based on their defence and the way they intercept. So I think Joe and Eric are going to find it a little bit harder to get their hands on the pill or the seed with the way Geelong is shaping up down back. So probably a couple of ins in that game as well.
Mind you, Dicko, just before we leave, we've got to say Brisbane were great last week.
Yeah.
Brisbane had that game shot to bits of the G against a fellow top 4 side. So there's nothing wrong with their form line either.
Yeah, well, as I said in our review on Monday, so quarters 2 and 3, they kicked 12 goals to Melbourne 6. So dominated that middle part, but couldn't finish it off. So no doubt Fags has done some scenarios, last-minute stuff, and it's a little bit of structure for this one against the Cats. Fremantle and Sydney. So Fremantle, biggest disappointment for the year in terms of a team. Sydney are probably my second. So I'm not liking this game at all. I'm tipping Sydney based on they're right in the horse wave of 301 games. They've got to just keep celebrating milestones for horse because it seems to be working.
Yeah, they've still got themselves in the mix. So they've got that added bit of incentive, whereas Freo have completely dropped the ball this year. You're right. They've been a massive disappointment. Don't know what the wash-up's going to be at the end of the season for the Dockers. Something's got to change. Something's got to give. The style of play. Maybe they need to rotate the list a little bit more, but I'm going for Sydney as well. Just the fact that they're still in the hunt.
Yeah, agreed. This one, it's match of the round, and as we approach the pointy end of the season, Port and Collingwood, no doubt the full stadium, but I can imagine the people that want to watch this game of footy. So Port broke their streak last week of 13 at the hands of Carlton, and then we've got Collingwood. So I don't want to go too stat heavy on you because I know you love to look at it, obviously from a game perspective, but they're 1 and 2 nearly in every stat across the board. So they're 1 and 2 on the ladder for a reason. But Collingwood have thrown the challenge out last week, and Brandon Maynard said, they better bring their A game if they're going to play us. So the fireworks are already starting. But do you think Port has the advantage now to upset Collingwood because of the home ground advantage?
Well, the home ground advantage is big for Port Adelaide. They love playing there in front of the Port fans, but they're taking on the best team in the comp. So it's a flip of the coin for mine. Port looked real vulnerable down back last week. Tom Jonas came back in, the skipper that hadn't been able to force his way back in since round 10. So it took him 8 weeks to get back in, and he looked really uncomfortable playing in defence against the Blues. So they've got some problems down back, Port. That's where they look a little bit light on. Butter's form has eased off over the last month or so. He's just dropped a notch. Not that he's playing poor football, but he just set such a high standard in the first couple of months of the season. So it's a real tough one. Which way are you leaning to go? Who'd you tip?
I'm going the Pies.
You're going the Pies. Just on the strength of that, I'll tip Port at home.
Yeah, that'd be right. Now, I want you to put your footy director hat back on for a moment. So Port Adelaide said we're going to wait till August to present a contract to Ken. If you were Ken Hinkley and would you sign it up in August, or would you wait until the final series is done and dusted?
Well, I guess it depends on what he thinks is going to happen as the season unfolds. And it was just about starting to talk again in August. Doesn't necessarily say they're going to have one meeting and sign a contract. So the difficulty is if you wait and you have a poor final series and you don't make it to the grand final, and for whatever reason you come up short, that's not going to look great. However, if you go all the way and you think you can win it, boy, you can write your own ticket, can't you?
I'm going to ask you.
Having said that, what are the options, Dicko? I mean, we know Gold Coast will probably be well down the track. Does he want that? Does he want to move? Is he attached to the players? I suspect he probably is at Port. Mate, he'll be... personally, I think he'll be staying. I don't think he'll be going anywhere. It's just a matter of the timing around when he decides to jump in.
All right. Now, GWS said this week Canberra is going to be the new fortress. Adam Kingsley said we've got a shocking record at their so-called home ground. But Gold Coast, they won't like the cold at Canberra. And they're just playing incredible footy. So they're flying under the radar, the Giants. They're on a run like Carlton. They've got 4 in a row. And they're just building beautifully to what's going to likely be a final spot.
Has been frosty in Canberra. You're right. Absolutely freezing up there. But the Giants are on a roll. As bad as their record is there, they've just got to keep winning because they are going to be in the 8. Should they win this one and a couple of other results go their way, that's what's hanging on the tree for them, right in front of them, a spot in the 8. You just can't slip up against a team that's below you on the ladder, surely.
Yeah, I'm with you. So Giants on that one. This is the interesting conversation. So Melbourne and Adelaide.
Yep.
So Brodie Grundy, you can't believe it. He's been dropped, and then within 7 days they're talking to trades. So, gee whiz, the media are brutal in terms of, right, he got to move into his third club. Melbourne has said he's not going anywhere. He's not going to play this week. But you said Brisbane was so good last week. Melbourne had to do something right to get the 4 points. Do you see it? That they're just are pretty much not immoral against Adelaide, but you'd have to think it'd be a pretty easy assignment.
I'm not going to go easy assignment. You got to tip Melbourne at home. Adelaide have got a question mark over them at the moment. I like the way they've attacked the year. Their brand of football's been very, very good, but they just had a few things creep in. We all saw the ill discipline from Nishelli. His form's dropped off a bit. The midfield just battling a little bit. But on their day, they're still a very, very good team. I think they'll take it up to Melbourne. I don't think they'll get blown away by any stretch, but they're just not going well enough for me to tip them. And playing away from home for them has been a massive challenge.
Yep, I agree with that too. Started so fast, Adelaide, and just running out of petrol. Melbourne for me as well, right? Let's finish it pretty fast here. We've got the Saints and North Melbourne. I'm tipping the upset. I'm going to go with the overs here.
What?
I cannot believe the $5.50 on offer. That is incredible overs. Like, I'm just thinking Clarko's coming back next month. Brett Ratton's been fired up by Nick Riewoldt, said he's getting free physio back when he was at St Kilda. So he's firing up, and the Saints are literally just padding.
I know he's not going, or they're not going well, the Saints, and Rossi's got a few problems on his hands at the moment. but they were deplorable last week, North. I can't be tipping them to go. So you can have your overs. Enjoy those.
All right. Now, give us an unders. If I'm going on overs with North Melbourne at value 550.
Well, I know I've tipped them, but I think Brisbane are unders against the Cats. The Cats have got a great record against the Lions, and I think there's far too much discrepancy in the market there. So I wouldn't be rushing in at the short quote Brisbane.
All right, that's all we've got time for. That is just 12 minutes of quality gold we've just thrown out there. I'll see you on Monday, Chief.
Yeah, look forward to seeing how our tips went.
Righto, thanks for joining us on Fox Sports Lab AFL.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.